Hi, soulmates. Welcome to class. So this is what we're going to be doing to achieve that manipulation blouse you saw on the thumbnail. So I have my basic bodice with all the darts, waist darts, and bust darts. This is my bust line, even though I used it as the armhole line too. So I'll connect from the neck point on one side to this dart point on the right hand side, and then from the other neck point I'm going to be taking it down to how deep I want the neckline to be. So this is it, a v-shaped neckline, and I'm going to get my scissors to cut out the neckline before we begin to work on that area. So whichever type of neckline you want, you can actually do it. It must not be a v-neck neckline. Okay, so from there, after cutting the neckline, I'm going to slash into the neck point, into the dart point on the bust line. Every cutting must touch the bust line, and I will cut this other part of the bust dart, and then we overlap it, which means we've closed the dart. Okay, so I'll get my masking tape or whichever tape that you have and tape it down. Alright, so we're going to slash the other parts of the waist dart, and then we're also going to tape it down or close it up, meaning we've transferred this one side of the dart to the upper part of the bodice. Okay, now we're still going to do the same thing on this other side. This is how we're going to do. We're going to connect to the neck, to the waist dart, which we have closed like this, because we want to transfer the dart there. The first one was on the upper part, this is going to be on the lower part. So we slash one part of the bust dart and then slash the other part of the waist dart, and then we close the bust dart first. Okay, and we tape it down as well. So after taping this down, we're also going to slash from this line that we connected to the other side of the waist dart, because we want to close this other waist dart. Yes, so we have now successfully transferred all the darts to this side of the pattern. So up and down we have excesses, which is where we're going to be having our fullness. So now that we've successfully done that, we are now going to slash this part. We're drawing out three lines, which is three areas of slashes that we're going to be having. And whatever we do on this lower part, we're also going to do it on the upper part, down to where, remember where the v-neck line stops, that is where our slashes is going to be stopping. So I'll use the marker to highlight it in case you're not seeing it properly. You'll be able to see it very well. So I'll slash this part, and I'll also go ahead and slash the other parts, or better still, we're making it visible so that you fully understand what we're doing. So now that we've finished outlining the lines, we're going to use our scissors and slash the lines into three places. Okay, as you're cutting, make sure that you're not cutting the paper entirely, because you might misplace it. Okay, it's not right if you cut it out entirely. We are not slashing the side, it is only the inside that we're going to be slashing. So once you slash, you insert a paper underneath. We're also going to do the same thing on this other side. We're going to slash it as well, and once we finish slashing, we are going to add paper underneath. You can choose a different color of paper to add underneath so that you see exactly where the slashes started or where the fullness actually is and how to go about it. But here I do not have a brown paper, so I'm using a white paper to do this. So all I'm going to be doing is to use my marker to highlight the point where each fullness is going to meet the other. I hope you understand where each point is going to meet the other. So now we're going to close up the slashes that we have added fullness to it. So I'm going to grab one point like this, including the paper that I added underneath. This is how we're going to close it. Now, one thing you will need to get is that as it lays flat like this, that is how we're going to transfer it to our fabric. So I want to assume that I'm working with a fabric, and that is how I'm going to be folding it over. Now also note that you can do gathers on this just like in the pictures, okay? Because this is paper, you cannot do gathers, but if you transfer it to your fabric, you can actually gather it into the other parts which was not slashed. I hope this is not confusing, because a lot of persons do not really understand this part of using the paper to finish up everything. Does not mean that it is not realistic. It is actually realistic. We're only showing you what can possibly be done on your fabric. So once you use the paper to cut the design this way and you've added the fullness, just transfer it to your fabric and then use chalk and pencil or whatever to mark out the areas that you're going to be either gathering or pleating, however you choose to do it. Okay, because this is paper, we're not going to be doing gathers like I've said before. We're only going to pleat. All right, but at the end of this video, I'm also showing you how we can transfer this to our fabric. So once you've done this, you're going to cut away all the excesses that are not needed, and then we'll put it together like so. At this point, it is now going to match the area that was not slashed, and we use a masking tape to hold it down. That manipulation is so sweet to be done if you understand it properly. It can give you any design of your choice. This is one part in which using a pattern is better than freehand, because you might not possibly be able to do this on your fabric directly. You're going to waste a whole lot of fabric. Okay, so we're still cutting out the excesses which are not needed, which is part of the paper that was added. Now, as we've closed the other part, that is how we're also going to close this other part. With this method, you can transfer your dart to anywhere and sew it as a style line, sew it to any other place, and avoid having that where you do not want to have any form of stitches on that part. I hope this makes sense to you. And of course, if you've not subscribed to this point, please, ladies and gentlemen, this is time for you to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification button, so that you will be aware whenever we post a new video. Okay, so this is the outcome of what we have. We assume that we've gathered it into the part that needs the gathering where it was not slashed. Okay, cut away every excesses that you have. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to show us, you can see how deep it is. I'm going to show us how to transfer this on our fabric. As you can see, you will need to lay it flat. You need to lay it flat and then lay it on your fabric. Remember that you're not going to be doing unfold. Everything is wide open. Okay, so once you lay it flat this way with the added paper and the fullness after the slashes, you're now going to get your chalk and transfer the lines on the fabric. The parts where you will need seam allowance, please add seam allowance, especially on the parts where you have the fullness. Add seam allowance on the sides, add seam allowance anywhere that is going to be joined. Add half-inch seam allowance or whatever allowance that you know you can sew out, but not more than half an inch. Okay, so you transfer it this way, and then also use your chalk to highlight the parts where you're going to be joining together, or from which point the gathers is going to be stopping. Okay, So once you do this, you're good to go. If you're going to be pleating, I'm highlighting the parts that will meet each other. And if we're going to be gathering, you also highlight the points where the gathers is going to be fixed into the order. And that is it. Very easy and simple to be done. I hope this makes sense to you. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video. Bye.